Cowboys Report is made possible by Roan. I'm rocking one of their polos right now and in the intro video. And you can get 20% off your order when you go to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. It's a trade, idea, target, candidate, rumor, everything else in between. Heavy day. We'll talk Tank Lawrence, Sam Williams, and thought 3 at least decent enough trade targets suggested by Sports Illustrated. Before we get to that, we are in a month-long sub-battle against the NFC East channels here at Chat Sports. Giants now, a Daniel Jones-esque effort so far, but we're only in third. Eagles are kicking our butts, and the Commanders have gone from last place to first place in the 10 days or so since we've last done this. Let's get that flipped. Get more Cowboys videos. Help us win this sub-battle by subscribing right now. Let's talk Tank Lawrence here first up. Pro Football Network listed Lawrence as the Cowboys' top trade candidate in 2024, which I was fairly surprised by. Here's the gist of the core argument from PFN. Dallas could actually save $10 million by trading Lawrence, which would free up more snaps for the Cowboys' young pass rushers. Dallas selected Marshawn Kneeland in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft, potentially signaling the end of Lawrence's tenure. What I want to emphasize here is this. The 2024 campaign and who's going to play key snaps for you is not the same as the 2025 season. Would any of us be surprised if next year Tank's not back and Kneeland's your starter opposite Micah Parsons? No. But that's next year. I got this year to worry about right now. I've got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Marshawn Kneeland, defensive ends / defensive tackles, Chauncey Golston, Junior Fehoko. I need DeMarcus Lawrence on this roster if I'm trying to win football games. Look, the sack numbers have not been very impressive over the last 4 seasons, although the 2021 per game numbers were actually pretty darn decent. But he's a fantastic run stopper who consistently generates pressure, can take on double teams as maybe your only good run stopper along the interior of your defensive line. He's a huge part of what you do on defense, and he's actually been pretty healthy outside of 2021 the last few years. I do think maybe we should give him a little bit more credit than we have, including myself, in the past. So I'll go more in depth on this. But would you trade away Tank Lawrence? Y for yes, N for no. It is today's pinned comment. You should know exactly what that means. The ad comes, ignore it. Nobody cares. Head down there, type in Y for yes, N for no. I think a trade of DeMarcus Lawrence right now doesn't really make any sense for the Cowboys. He is by far their best and really only reliable for the time being run stopper. Hopefully someone else emerges soon. But if you want to win games now, he helps you do that. Yes, Marshawn Kneeland, I would not be surprised if he replaces him full-time next season. But if I want to be a playoff contender, which as bad as this offseason has been, I still think is what the Cowboys are trying to do, he's staying. I'm not moving on from him because I don't have a reliable piece to help him out right now, replace him right now, and my run defense kind of falls apart without him. Now, if this team is terrible at the NFL trade deadline, we can revisit at that point. We can reevaluate, decide, okay, maybe this isn't really the path that we should be going, and at that point, fire selling players like Lawrence, maybe a Brandin Cooks. I should consider Zach Martin, unless you just want to make him a Cowboy for life. I get that. That's a different conversation. This team wants to be a playoff team. You don't accomplish that by trading away Tank Lawrence right now. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Roan. Roan kind of helped deliver a radical reinvention for the male closet. I don't like clothes that are sticky or tight and don't look good on me and don't feel good in the heat, especially as it gets hotter and hotter. Getting the dog days of July and August just around the corner. Roan delivers everything I'm looking for, including not having giant logos that I find ugly and distracting. We got products for every occasion, talking pants, quarter zips, dress shirts, polos, blazers as well. Their signature 4-way stretch fabric is breathable and flexible, leaving you free to enjoy whatever life throws your ways, from work to the golf course to drinks after to dinner to just the commute home. It is the Commuter Collection after all. Get 20% off the Commuter Collection when you go to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Find your corner office comfort. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Bleacher Report, meanwhile, listing Sam Williams as one of the Cowboys' top trade candidates. It was alongside Brandin Cooks and Trey Lance. Bleacher Report hates Brandin Cooks. I don't really get it. I'm done having that conversation. We've had plenty of Trey Lance talk. We don't have that one again either. I do think Williams, though, faces a make-or-break camp. This was framed as like, maybe you flip him for a different player. I think that only happens if Mike Zimmer goes, I don't like him. Williams is talented. I think there is untapped potential to double his sack rate this year, his sack production this year, if not a little bit higher. Like, I think he has that untapped ability, but he's got to be able to do the little things right. Maturity is maybe a word we can use for this, where, stop getting in trouble off the field. He upset some people when he got in that car accident, 2 years ago, was like, I'm lucky to be alive. And then it came out, well, you were driving recklessly down the street. Like, you kind of misled people involved a little bit there. Just not having so many penalties, not getting himself in trouble off the field. Mike Zimmer does not put up with BS. He's not a fan of that. And he will challenge Sam Williams to be the best version of himself. And if Sam hits the ground running and does all the little things right, he'll hit that. Otherwise, maybe you call the Commanders about with Dan Quinn. So will the Cowboys make a trade before the season begins? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Sports Illustrated listed 3 different trade targets. Thought they were interesting enough names. I wanted to break them down. First up is Khalil Davis. Now, my issue with this, well, first off the positives, you need another defensive tackle. So, in general, we're kind of at a beggars can't be choosers mindset when it comes to defensive tackle options. And Davis did showcase some ability last year for the Houston Texans. 6 TFLs, 2 sacks, in what was a stark departure from all of his other career production. He was a non-factor in Indianapolis, in Tampa, who drafted him back in 2020. The Steelers, the Bucks, and Rams all had him. Now, Foley Fatukasi, Danico Autry, Tim Settle, maybe some Mario Edwards. They drafted Marcus Harris. There's a scenario where Davis isn't just traded, he might get cut. There's a possibility of that. And that's a name you should consider because you just don't have the bodies along your defensive line. 6'1", 308, he can do some 3 technique stuff for you. He ran actually a pretty decent 40-yard dash time, by the way, coming out of Nebraska. It's not my favorite option because it's, he's a career journeyman. You're kind of paying for a bit of a one-year wonder. Maybe the breakout happened. You also, he's better than Carl Davis. He's done more than Junior Fehoko has, than Denzel Daxon. It's not a great option, but you're kind of got some slim pickings because you didn't do anything at defensive tackle this offseason. Next up is Elijah Moore. And I'm not sure I buy the Cedric Tillman's going to put more on the bench storyline out of Cleveland. They have, of course, Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper. But if he is available, could have some interest here. He was fairly productive last year for the Browns, despite, Massage Boy getting outplayed by Joe Flacco. Has had some success with the Jets. One maybe red flag you have to worry about is Moore kind of complained about the quarterback in New York some. And he would be receiver 3, I think. But the angle I like most here about Elijah Moore is I think he offers you inside-outside versatility. And I think that matters because you want to put Lamb in the slot a lot. And you want to put Cook some in there too. So you can put Moore on the inside, but he can also play on the outside. He might end up being a little bit better in the slot. But I think of all the receivers we've seen linked to Dallas, I don't think Moore is really available. At least, and if he is, I'll happily change my tune and have interest there. That's a better target than like Hunter Renfrow, So name a player who you would like to see the Dallas Cowboys trade for. Drop that player name for me. Where else but the comments? Finally, Khalil Herbert. And this isn't a surprise. We've talked about Herbert for a while now. We were talking about him basically the day the Bears signed DeAndre Swift as an option and when the Cowboys didn't do anything else in the backfield. I like what Herbert has to offer. Now, he's missed time over the last 2 seasons. That is a red flag. But when he's been out there, he has brought at least elements of the things I like. Some good efficiency on the ground. He's got a career 4.9 yards per carry. In an injury-filled down year last year, it was 4.6. That's pretty damn good. There are some big plays on his tape. He has a solid success rate. He is a good running back. Injuries and Frankly, a pretty severe lack of third down value and trust from Chicago, I think, is a factor in why he could be available. Herbert might be your best running back on the roster if you traded for him. Or at least forms a good duo with Rico Dowdle of like young guys that also have kind of battled injuries to a certain extent. And his weaknesses, I think, match up pretty decently with the other players' strengths. I would love to get Khalil Herbert on the Dallas Cowboys. And I think he fits the perfect blend of the things I am looking for in a back and the cost, the opportunity cost as well. He does offer, I think, impactful early down ability, a little bit more efficiency, and more big plays than what you really have on your roster right now. He's not a top-end burner by any stretch of the imagination, but he'll get you some explosive plays, and I crave that in the modern-day NFL. His big weakness is I don't think the Bears ever trusted him much on third downs, although in general, when you have a mobile quarterback, it typically leads to less third down targets for your receiving targets for your backs anyway. But I don't need help on third downs. Rico Dowdle can do that. Deuce Vaughn, Ezekiel Elliott can pass protect. I've got guys to fill that third down role. And I've got all these extra day 3 picks as well. I can offer the Bears one of my extra 5s or one of my extra 6s. Maybe it's a 6 or a 5th and a pick swap, whatever. My real question is would the Bears move him? Swift and Roschon Johnson are a good 1-2 punch. That's a great third to have in there. So I would call, especially closer to cut down time, seen him on some cut candidate lists, but I would keep my expectations cautious for now. Before we go, I almost put in, this is part of the video, Clutch Points did maybe the worst trade candidate list I've ever seen for the Dallas Cowboys. Do you want me to tear that to shreds on a future video? If you would watch that, type me in the comments.